entering new levels that I haven't really seen before yet. I've noticed on certain charts, we haven't been there in the past 3 years or 4 years or whatnot. So I'm noticing, okay, we've been here before, but it wasn't for a long time. So I really don't know how far this thing just might go or where it might reverse. But I know from learning from you, there's a high probability that banks will want to squeeze out the market as much as they can up into those quarter points. So a lot of times I'm taking my take profits at the next quarter point. You know, I'm not really going too far. I'm looking to just secure what I can. And
Right.
a lot of times it's been working out that way.
Bro, you're gonna be a rich man one day. You keep following that. You're gonna be a Forex trader extraordinaire. Bro, that's what you just said is the secret to success, man. It's taking what the market gives, taking what you get, you know?
Yeah.
Where people lose, I've seen so many people that have come back to me and said, well, why did I lose this trade? And I'm like, well, you didn't. And they say, well, what do you mean? It's red. It's an L. What you mean you did? I said, no. You didn't lose the trade. You got greedy.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe Giunta with Team Take Profits. I'm here to help you trade and get paid. Before we start this video, I got a huge announcement. Huge. Biggest announcement ever on this channel. I want to thank you guys so much. Just this week, we hit the big mark. 10,000 subs. 10,000 subs on this channel. Thank you guys so much for the support, for your continued watching and likes, comments, shares, all this stuff that you guys do to help support this channel. We did it. We hit 10,000 subs, and you guys were a huge part of that. Thank you for helping to continue to grow this channel, and we're going to continue to put valuable content out. In today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to look inside a private training session, and what we're going to do is actually analyze one of my students and show what happened when he took a loss in the market. Have you ever took a loss in the market and then wondered, man, what in the world happened? And then wished, once you look back, that you could have known before you got into the trade and could have avoided the loss? Well, we're going to do that today. Well, I'm going to show you the characteristics of a loss in the Forex market. I'm going to take you inside the mind of a trade that is a losing trade and help you to understand why this thing lost, and so we can avoid the next loss in the future. Winning in the market is not always about winning, but sometimes learning how not to lose. So let's learn what a losing trade looks like. See you on the charts.
Look, for today's training, man, what we're going to do is I want to take a look at your charts. I want to see you went 4 for 5. Show me how you did it. Let's analyze it. Let's take a look at it. And let's, and now mind you, it's one thing to be able to take teaching. It's another thing to be able to take correction, Okay. And so, let me show you where you've gone right, and let me scrutinize where you've gone wrong. And let's fine tune your trading.
Okay. So this was this is GJ, and I was
hands on GJ.
And in this one, I was actually, this is the one where I said I was in profit, right? And then all of a sudden, I lost on this, even though I was in profit, and that was me not, I guess, taking heed and realizing what I had at that point in time. So that's what that is there. So I mean, at this point, do you want me to like zoom out or zoom in? What do you?
Just show me. Okay, so where did you get into your trade? Let's look at the loser first.
Okay.
Where did you get in?
So I entered just as the market opened. So that was around 3 a.m. And I waited for this candle right here. I waited for this candle to close out, which I believe it was already closed out. And I waited for this one to open up. So when this candle opened up right here, it was green. So that's why I took in the buy. And in my head, what I saw was I created this trend line right here, and I said, okay, I'm in a very strong upward trend. This was a point of support for me, which I had thought was going to become a point of resistance, because this candle prior had already broken it. So I should have probably waited for a retest above this, but I kind of was just like, man, this trend is really strong. At the time, I believe I might have had my Bollinger Bands as well. And I saw this big wide opening here. So I was like, man, this thing is gonna just take off. So at that point, I had entered this trade once this candle opened up, and you know, I stayed in it probably for a little bit longer than I should have, and that's when I took the loss on this one.
So you took the trade long?
Yeah, I was expecting it to go up to this quarter point right here. Hold on one second. Let me move this. I was expecting it to go up to this point, which is 143.50504. So that's where I had set my take profit at. So, I mean, is it possible it probably would reach there? Yeah, but I think where I had set my stop loss, let me look back at the trade. Hold on one second. My stop loss is 142.930. So 142.930. So I guess I was pretty conservative in that, where I set my stop loss like pretty much up in here. So yeah, and I think that's just me not really being quite comfortable yet, and really understanding fully. I think I'm somewhat getting it, but I think there's definitely still more for me to learn there. And
sure.
that was that one.
Okay, so let's analyze that one before we go forward to the next one.
Okay.
So on your screen, I'm going to do the markup here. Okay, I can mark your screen. Let's start right here. So I can identify several mistakes you made here. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to help you identify those, and then we'll kind of see how we can correct them. I'm not going to give you the correction. I'm going to show you what went wrong, and then I want you to tell me what you could have did different. Okay.
Got it.
So the first thing I seen is where you said about your trend. Define to me a trend in the market. What does a trend mean? How do you know something's in a trend?
When you have two or more points that connect, and you have consistent higher highs and lower highs. I mean lower low. Well, higher lows and higher highs.
Right. So if you started your trend right here, so this was your first low, and you're looking at a bullish trend, which means you would need to have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. Correct?
Okay.
So you have a low, you have a high. Where's your...
I can't see you marking up though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, here. You have a low, you have a high. Where's your high or low?
I'm still not seeing. Oh wait, all right. So it just came up. All right. So I see this. You have a white line here.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a low, and then the high is where I guess you put it up there, and then it went away now.
So if you have a low here, let me do it this way. How about this? If you have a low here, which is where you started,
right?
This little red candle, you can't consider that a true pullback. Like, so you can't say this is a high and then a pullback, because it's not. I mean, you're still in a complete one move here, especially when you correlate it with the daily chart. So here's your high.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you have confirmation of a high or low?
You don't really. I was gonna consider this right here, but it really doesn't touch the line at all.
Right. So you have a low and a high. So this is all one big move right here, right? This from here to here is one big move. Then you're going to have a low, which is going to be a higher low. And if you look back at this zone here to this zone here, which is our major zone, that's going to tell you that this pullback is going to be somewhere in here. Okay? And so now suddenly you have a new trend when you do it. Here's your trend.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So now do me a favor on your screen. Move your price action over a little bit to the right. Other way. I'm sorry, maybe it's my right, your left.
Yeah, my left.
All right, scoot it up a little bit. Yep. So okay, now that's good right there. So now you see. Remember we talked last week about how zooming out, right?
Yeah.
So you see that, right? You see this little thing that happened right here.
Okay.
All right. And then once we had the breakout, we had some pretty great bullish movement.
Mm-hmm.
But was this really a trend reversal? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over here trying to drag your screen, and I forgot I was annotating. Drag it up a little bit, like push the whole thing upward. Yep. Okay. So now from here, when we look at it, actually, this is where the trend began, right? So doesn't that make more sense now?
It does. It does.
So now you have low, high, higher low,
Higher high.
higher high, higher low,
Higher high.
higher high, which is your breakout. And now you're looking for a pullback. Higher low.
Wow. Wow.
Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. A lot of sense. A lot of sense.
So now when we look at that, now how much sense does that make now? We get the move. The original move is hard to catch because you're in the lower trend and you get the crossover late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which that's generally where the fake out happens. We get in and then we get out. We get the pullback, and now on a Bollinger Band strategy, which I'll teach you that's a whole nother. That's an amazing strategy. But one thing to watch for on the Bollinger Band strategy is your EMA. Notice on this pullback right here, notice that the EMA does not cross the middle Bollinger Band. It comes down to it, but it never crosses.
At what point are we?
Here. I'm sorry, I forget you can't see my mouse. I'm over here, and I'm not annotating. I'm just dragging my mouse over it. So in the beginning of the move, right?
Okay, I see.
So I'm just going to undo those most recent annotations because I do want you to see those other marks.
Okay.
But from here to here is our first move. It went from one side of the band to the other side of the band, which means we're having a change in direction. It went from a bearish move here to a bullish move here.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
Now, so you see that, and notice how when that first bullish movement happened, the crossover came late.
Right.
All right. Now, follow that EMA. Your price action comes back down, and it does not go to the other side of the Bollinger Band. It only comes back to the middle.
Right.
Your EMA never actually crosses your middle Bollinger Band. It comes and kisses it, but it doesn't cross it. You see that?
I see it.
that tells you that what do? We follow the EMA, right? We don't follow the Bollinger Band. We follow the EMA. So that tells me that because when this is coming down, I still don't have a cross. That tells me it's going to go back up to the other side before hitting. It's going to go back up this way and not down this way.
Got it.
Okay. So that's, let me stop there for a second. So we don't get the cross, so we know we're going back up. So it goes back up, touches the other band, and then tries to pull back down to the middle. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this sideways movement. Notice why we have this sideways movement is because we're in this zone, yellow to yellow, right? We just broke through, and now the market goes into indecision. The bank says, wait a minute, let's not get all the way up here because we still can catch more money from down here. So now what happens is this. So now you get down here and you get this crossover. You get that little crossover right there. And what happens? You get, it comes back down to the other side of the Bollinger Band. But does it really come down to the other side of the Bollinger Band, or does the Bollinger Band go into a pinch?
It pinches up right here.
Right. So although we see it drop to the other side, we know that this is not a bearish move. We know that the Bollinger Band came, there's a difference between price action going to the band or the band going to the price action. Does that make sense?
It does.
So when I see the band come to, rather than the price action drop, I'm knowing that even though I'm down at the bottom Bollinger Band and I'm below my EMA, this is a fake out. This is not really a bearish move because I still have a pinch. I'm in a pinch right now. So then I go back up and I'm hitting the other side. Now I know I'm in a channel. So I'm looking for a real pullback because this here was a fake out. I go to the top. Now I'm looking for the real pullback because now this is telling me this was not the real pullback. This was a fake out. This was bank manipulation. That big candle was news. So it goes back up. Then the bank says, all right, now let's bring the market to its genuine pullback. It comes to its pullback. And then I see the band start to expand. I see the EMA cross over upward.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see that band expand, that tells me what? Volume, right?
Okay.
Boom. Major move. Now, looking at, without me annotating, but just looking at each of these marks, the white lines I made, low, high, lower, lower, high, lower, low, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, now look at what the EMA did and look at what the Bollinger Bands are doing at every one of those levels and show me the confirmation. You see how, look at the confirmation on how beautiful that is. Look at how every time we come to a high, and of course, look, my lines are ugly. I'm scratching with my mouse pad, But when we look at that, everywhere you see a line and everywhere you see that turnaround, that higher, low, lower, high, all that kind of stuff, the marks of a trend, you also see Bollinger Band and EMA confirmations. You see them at major zones, right in here. You see them at the other side of the major zones, right in this area. You see them in the pullbacks here. You see the fake out and the bank manipulation right at the major zone, right in here. Mm-hmm. And then you see the breakout where? From the bottom of that major zone. Everything happened right on point. Everything happened right on schedule. All we needed to know was where those major zones were. And then the Bollinger Bands and the EMA didn't tell us. All they did was confirm for us. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So now can you tell me, why did you lose that trade?
I lost that trade because I didn't really understand the trend. I did not understand the fact that this trend was supposed to retest somewhere around here, and I didn't wait for that retest, and I entered just because I saw price action moving upward, and also not really understanding the correlation with the Bollinger Bands when you said, you know, it's pinching up, it's moving up to price action versus price action moving to the Bollinger Band. So not really understanding that as well. So this makes a lot more sense here, definitely. And I was just looking at, you know, connecting 2 points here instead of saying, wait a minute, we have consistent higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and not realizing just what this thing was really. And when you point it out that way, it looks a lot more understandable, definitely.
Right. So so that makes sense to you now?
Definitely.
So now let's take that a step further. If you could go back to last night and you could have another shot at that move. So you said you got in after this big engulfing candle. So you got in right in here.
Yeah, this yep.
You got in bullish, and of course it just went bearish into a pullback.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now, if you were looking at this market again, and you were able to, you know, go back in time, if you would, you know, back to the future, if you could do that, how would you reapproach this trade?
I would readjust my trend line. So let's say, for example, zoom out a little bit. Let's say I brought that from here to about, say there. I'd be expecting a pullback somewhere in this zone here. So at that point, I would probably be in a sell. And if I was to take a sell, I don't know if I would extend it all the way to this this trend line, but I'd probably take profit somewhere around this quarter point right here, or even right here where I have a
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And why that yellow line? Why there?
That, to me, you know, looking back, and I'll zoom out a little bit. To me, that was a major point of wait, hold on, where am I? Yeah, we said this line here. That was a point of resistance for me. If we come back here, I know it looks a little crazy, but I saw that I had some resistance up in there. So that's where I had marked up moving forward. And, you know, I think that would definitely be a, well.
And actually, that's a great picture. Go back to that 1 hour. That's a great picture. Right? So move your price action over a little bit so you can see the whole thing. All right, right there, yep. Look at your trend line right there that you drew.
Okay.
On the 1 hour, that makes sense, right? Why? Because you have low, high, low, high, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that suddenly makes sense on the 1 hour. So on a scalp, what does that tell you? If you're entering here, now if you're looking, because now you're looking at a smaller time frame, now does this tell you buy or sell?
If I'm looking at which point exactly, because I don't know where you're at.
So can you see my annotations or no?
Yeah. I see a high and a high low.
Okay. So you see higher high, or low high, higher low, higher high, right?
Right.
Then you see when it comes down, it closes on the bottom side of the trend line.
Right.
and you have a red candle. So when you see it on this side, if you're looking at a scalp, when you're on the bottom of a trend line, which way do you go?
If I'm on a scalp on the bottom of a trend line, I'm expecting it to reach back up to the trend line.
Right. So in order for it to reach back up to the trend line, right? So here's one of the strategies you can always think of. Let's look at this. See that? Right. And if you scrolled back, you can see that line would continue. When you seen it cross and it closed above the trend line, now you know this is no longer moving down, it's moving up. It's called the trend line cutoff. Drop your trend line, and it's one of the easiest things to do. Drop a trend line, and when you see it pull off, cross the trend line, and you retest it, you go with that direction. So if you were going down, the trend line cut it off. Mm-hmm. Now it moved up. So what do? We buy. Boom. Right. So now same thing over here. If this is now your new trend line, like you got it drawn right there. Mm-hmm. When it comes down and pulls back this way, this is now we understand is that little bearish candle on a 1 hour. Mind you, this is 1 hour, not 4 hour.
Right.
Now suddenly we'd be looking at a sell.
And I noticed that when I do take these trades, I think I am entering on a 1 hour. I mark them up on like the higher levels, but ultimately I'm entering on the 1 hour. So I might be maybe scalping and not realizing it and holding for longer, expecting it to be, a day trade. But, I think that's me needing to understand, exactly what I'm doing versus what I think is going on. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now with that being said, when you look at because entering on a 1 hour is good. You should, you can do that. And we've talked about that. If you mark on the day and trade the 4 hour and just find the precise entry on the 1 hour, you can do that. So if that's the case, then on the 1 hour, this tells us it's a sell, but the 4 hour says buy. So what is that confluent or is that divergent?
That's divergence.
Right. So that means we would not want to take what we see because it's not congruent. It's not together. Mm-hmm. We want to wait until the 1 hour says buy again and matches the 4 hours. So now on the 1 hour, we would wait for this. And then what would happen is it's going to drop somewhere into here, probably right at this level here. All right. And once we hit that pullback and we go up, this becomes our entry.
Got it.
Because now the 1 hour is going in the same direction as the 4 hour and the daily. Right here, I don't think you read it wrong. You got in too early.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right, everybody, there you have it. That's what it looks like to lose in the market. Nobody wants to lose, but if we're going to avoid losing, we need to know what a loss looks like. So I hope this video helped you. As a thank you to everybody who helped us to hit 10,000 subs, I got a little gift for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to post a screenshot. I'm going to post an actual screenshot of my chart. And it's going to show you all of the levels, the quarter points and all the levels that I use to identify supply and demand zones on the GBPAUD. It's a highly valuable inside look at my chart, the chart that I actually trade. I'm going to post that in the community chat. I'm going to post it for everybody. All my my subscribers are going to be able to have access to that. Download it, mark the charts with it. I hope it helps you. So as far as today's video, I hope it helped you. I hope it identifying what somebody does in a losing trade will help you abstain from those things, identify them, and make sure that you don't do them. Make sure you get the winning trades, essentially, and no losses in the market. So I hope this video is a blessing to you today. Thank you again. Make sure you check out the website, tradeandgetpaid.com, and let's take this a step further. I'll see you on the next video.